We told you last week the one thing we could hope for is that football around here had hit rock bottom. For two of our three football teams, it appears as if that indeed was the case. The other one, well, they're still like that commercial where the elderly lady is screaming that she's fallen and she can't get up. We're going to today to choose to focus more on the good news than the bad because, frankly, we've earned it. We'll ask, can one solid performance from a Saints quarterback change the outlook of a franchise well below the status of football purgatory? To steal a line from the Beatles, could Tulane get back to where they once belonged? And LSU, well, we'll figure them out later because the psychiatrist isn't in until after lunch, and we need to start the Dattitude podcast now. Oh, you mean right now? Oh, that's this button? Oh, yeah, let's start it. What the hell?
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Let's clap for a second. Holy crap, we aren't all pissed off today. I mean, that's a start. It's not exactly what we're looking for, but it's a start. Did anyone have any fun yesterday? Do you know that the Saints were the only team in the NFC South to win yesterday, to win on Sunday? And the only podcast to point that out to you, the only one that we know anyway, and the only one that matters is Dattitude, episode number 438, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, November the 10th, 2025. I am your host, Jim Derry, 35 years on the New Orleans sports media scene. They can't kill bad grass. Well, maybe they can eventually. But as of today, bad grass is still here. We thank you for being a part of the Dattitude family. What is special about our show? You know that, and we're going to get to it in a little bit. You type in your comments. I'll show every single one of them that, well, at least for now. If you're a complete moron, I might show one and then we're going to move on because I'm always looking for a dumbass of the week. Gabe and I are still working on the music and the confetti, by the way. We have not got there yet, but maybe by the end of the week, this week, who knows? Maybe we'll have confetti showering all over if we have a real dumbass. I found some on social media. That's coming up in the dime later on. We have a you might enjoy the dime today. I hope you always enjoy the dime today, but going to get to that. Anyway, if you type in your comment, we will most likely show them. We are live usually every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time on any of our places here on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X. If you could listen after the fact, if you'd rather just listen and not be a part of the show and you don't want to see me, I get it. I ain't pretty. I'm sorry. But you can find us on any of the major podcast platforms. You can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. And you can find, if you want to email me, you can email me, jim@jimderry.com. If you haven't done so, by the way, please subscribe to the show. All right, what is on today's show? You know what? I'm not going to even leave this. I'm going to go right to the Saints slide today. That's what we're going to do today. What is on the show today? Of course, we're going to spend, I don't know, 67. I was all prepared on Saturday night to talk probably 50% LSU and 50% Saints, but I didn't expect the Saints to win. So I don't know. I don't want to be a Derry Downer all day. I mean, nobody wants to, after yesterday, nobody wants to hear about LSU the whole show. So we are going to spend some time. Gabe, I'm sure, is going to talk about LSU. He wants to talk a little bit about the Saints as well. His Texans with one of the, maybe not one of the comeback of the year. I mean, just insane. And look, y'all know what I think about the Jacksonville Jaguars and what I think about Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to have fun with him on that. We'll probably talk about that later on in the show. We'll talk about some different things that went on in the NFL, but we are going to spend probably 70% of the show today on the New Orleans Saints and what they, and I got to ask the question. I mean, is it okay to hope and dream? I asked this, remember this. So I want to preface it with this. If y'all remember, the longtime viewers of this show, last year we had on Mike Haas on our guest. I think it was Wednesday. The Wednesday after the Saints beat the Cowboys. Y'all remember that? And the Saints were 2-0 and everything was great. And the Saints walloped. They beat up on the Panthers and they beat up on the Cowboys. And we asked Mike Haas if it was okay to dream. And Mike said, yeah, it's okay to dream. And I kind of think that's where we are today. And when we talk about dream, we're not dreaming about this season in particular, right? I mean, no one has any pipe dream. Even the most optimistic of optimistic fans. No one has realistic dreams that anything's going to happen this season. I mean, if you get to, and again, my dime is coming up. If you don't know what that is, it's where I pre-script the only thing that I script on this show really is my dime every Monday, where I have my commentary from what I saw either over the weekend. Usually it's about the Saints. Today it is about this. I had actually written a dime about LSU and I kind of scrapped it. We could just talk about LSU. And I had a short that ran over the weekend. A lot of y'all saw it. I got it right now. It's over 35,000 views as of this morning. Between YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. No, not Twitter. TikTok. So if you want to catch it, you can find it. It's basically my dime in a short, what I felt about that. We'll talk about it later. But my dime this morning and my commentary this morning on the Saints is about hope. And is it okay to hope? I mean, I don't want to temper anyone's enthusiasm. So that's not what this show is going to be about. If you're hopeful about the future, great. We're going to get to your comments in a little bit. That's coming up again with Zach. With Gabe later on, we're going to talk about a weird Sunday in the NFL. My knockout picks, I had 2 going into the weekend. I only have 1 left. And I got to say thanks to Zach Ewing. I was making fun of him because he made me sweat. He talked me into changing. I had Buffalo and I had Carolina the same time last week. And he talked me into changing Carolina, taking Carolina out and putting in the Broncos. And it looked like Thursday night, like the Broncos were going to lose to the Raiders, and I was kind of cursing his soul a little bit. Well, and it's a good thing that I ended up listening to him, because I would have no knockout picks remaining this morning if it weren't for Zach Ewing. And it seems like Buffalo screws me every year. And I know better than to take a road team in a division game, and I still did it anyway. So I kind of deserve my own golden rule. I broke it and I got knocked out. So I got 1 left. There's 122 entries left out of 1,400 and something. I mean, look, I won it last year. I can't be grading. It is what it is. And then lastly, before we get moving on here, there's no Pelicans. There's not going to be any Pelicans talk today. Sorry. We usually will. I ran out of time and didn't make a Pelican slot. And to be honest, today's not really the day for that. We'll talk about them on Wednesday. They are playing at Phoenix tonight, by the way. Winners of 2 in a row, the New Orleans Pelicans. No, I'm sorry. They lost Saturday night. Anyway, they won 2 out of their last 3. How about that? I'm even drinking out my Alvin Kamara cup today. I don't ever do that on the show. Anyway. All right, time to get to the comments as we get started here. But before we do all that, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemel. They will start by scheduling a complimentary evaluation from their offices, either on Pointer Street in Lafayette. Nick Braden was pretty happy yesterday. Can't blame him. You will be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. If you go with our friends at Evangeline, they can help you get ready for the future. What happens after that? Not the rest of your life. Not yet. We'll fill you in more in the later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at EvangelineSecurities.com. Okay, before my dime, I want to get to some comments. Again, I got all kinds of things to say this morning. By the way, I had to put a couple, the T word. For those of you who don't watch the show on a regular basis, those morons who want the Saints to lose on their favorite team to lose on purpose. Yeah, I had to put them in their place yesterday. That was fun. If you say the T word here on the show, that's a good way to not have your comments shown. Yeah, Gabe says you'll be put in timeout. T stands for timeout. You're going to get put in timeout. All right. William, how did I know you would be first this morning? It's just one game, but surround Tyler with a starting O-line and more playmakers, and I believe you will have a franchise quarterback. He will get even better with experience, I believe. Again, I don't want to get too much into my dime, and I'm not going to I'm not going to rain on anybody's parade. I'm just going to say this. You look at those numbers and you haven't seen the numbers on the side of the screen. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, we got the stats. We always put the stats on Monday on the side of the screen. 19 to 27 for 282 and how long has it been since we've seen a 282? It's coming up in the dime. I don't want to spoil it. Let's just say it's been a long time since we've seen a 2-8 anything. A long time. A really long, like longer than you could even know how long it's been since we've seen a 282. A number that high. But I wouldn't get over the moon. Just hope's fine. Let's don't get crazy this morning. All right. Brian Cavett is here. Who dat? Quick note. He's on the highway. Tyler shucked it well. Rookie done well. He absolutely did well. He did fantastic. It was a fantastic performance. Sorry. That's my opinion. It's a beautiful day. Dattitude. Good morning. Happy Veterans Day. Absolutely. Kyle, thank you for reminding me. All the veterans out there, I salute you. My dad, who passed away a year and a half, served in Vietnam and was a vet in the Army, and I salute all the vets out there. We thank you for helping protect our country. Chad Gage, hello all. It's a great day to be cautiously optimistic about a certain rookie quarterback. You don't have to throw the other quarterback under the bus. Come on, man. I love you, Chad, but let's don't do that today, okay? It's not about the other guy. It's about the guy that did well, okay? That's what today's going to be about. The people who love the other guy, they're probably not happy today. Charles Mangus, happy Veterans Day, of course. Gary is here. I think my thing is doing this thing again. There it is. Both sides of the ball had a good game. Saints shut their running game down and forced Bryce Young to throw the ball. Yep, the Saints had a balanced attack, and the Tyler Shough did a good job. Optimistic. Man, what a job that the Saints defense did yesterday. I mean, I don't know that we're going to give them enough credit. Do me a favor. Well, let's see. Hold on. I'm going to try it one more time before I give it to you, Gabe. But I'm having an issue right now. Charles, let's see. We got a lot from Charles this morning. How about Mark Gapsky? Good morning. Very impressive game from Shough. Absolutely it was. Lance Dobart is here. Good morning. Who dat, baby? Christopher Crump. Who dat? Monday. Best football. Let them boys best money he's had in a long time. Absolutely. Earl's Picks. It's a Saints win Monday. We don't get a whole lot of those, do we? Absolutely. It was fun. Brian Esteve, good morning, Dattitude family. Still early, but there is optimism. The D played really well. That had a lot to do with Bryce Young. See, I don't agree with that. Yeah, Bryce Young, I mean, he was 17 of 25 and he threw a pick. You know why he looked bad, in my opinion? I thought the Saints' defensive scheme was fantastic. I got to give it to him. They were rushing the quarterback, and I think that had a lot to do with why. Let's see. Gabe, giving me some breaking news. Per on 3, Nick Anderson's MRI came back, quote, better than expected, and there's hope that he can return this season. That looked kind of brutal. We'll talk about that. That's coming up later as well. Let's see what else we got here. Who dat daddy is here? Good, man. Good. Hello this morning. Dylan Smith, good morning. Who dat? We got a quarterback. Can't say that just yet. It's a little, I'm not saying we don't. Big Valley, big Ric Flair, woo! On this Victory Monday. Panthers got us shucked. Panthers got shucked. Let's go. For sure. Let's see what else we got here. Quo. If it'll let me show. Saints win feels like a warm cup of Cafe de Monde on a chilly November morning. Boy, was it chill. Man, I made it. That's how big the Saints win feels. I didn't even talk about the weather. It was 16 minutes in. It's like 40-something degrees outside. I didn't even talk about the weather. That's how excited we are here, Quo. Ron Hendrickson was skeptical, but Shough looked like he could, that's the word of the day, could be the future quarterback. Our defense stepped up and played like I expected under Brandon Staley. Could. You got to remember, we're going to talk about this later. He still only played 10 quarters of football, 10 quarters of professional football. But it is a day to be optimistic for sure. Sean says, oyster shucking Monday. Oh, it sounds like a perfect day for some oysters, doesn't it? Let it shuck, who dat? Hopefully he keeps building on his game. Got to keep rolling. Phil Mariandi, roll wave. LSU is just not as talented as many thought. Nuss is shell shocked. Miss wide open receivers. Nuss was 18 of 21. I'm just going to throw that out there. Did he have some bad moments? Absolutely. You know what it is about Nuss? Again, I'm going to get to Nuss later. But here's the thing about Nuss. Brian Kelly's going, you don't have anybody to throw in your shit house. You got to shit on somebody. It's Garrett Nussmeier day. Again, did he look great? No. But he was 18 of 21. Dink and dunk, dink. Well, then blame the offensive coordinator. That's what they told him to do. Again, I'm not saying he had a great game because he didn't have a great game. LSU stunk. If you think putting Van Buren in is the answer to a guy that has been loyal to this program going back to Coach O, he was here during the Coach O debacle at the end. I'm going to get to that. I'm just saying. Daddy says, shuck surprise him. Let's hope he can continue playing like that. Absolutely. A lot of hope. But you don't know. We don't know. It's one game. We're going to get to that. Adam Varner, who dat? Shuck looked good. Made some big man throws. Defense and run game looks solid too. Carolina isn't a slouch this year. Solid win. Okay. Kind of mark where I'm at, Gabe, because I don't want to miss anybody. But I want to get to the dime. It is time. By the way, I ran out of time. Time rhymes with dime. And I did not have time to cut out the clips from Kellen Moore and Tyler Shough and play them here, which we usually do on Monday. Just ran out of time. But I thought it was important to get to the dime early, and here we are at 11:20. So, again, if you're new to the show, what I do is give you my commentary a la Jim Henderson or Jeff Duncan. I'm not saying I'm those guys because I'm not. But on my show every Monday after a Saints game, after an LSU game, whatever it is, whatever I think the story of the weekend is, I give you my commentary on that. Usually it's the Saints, and that's what it is today. So following Sunday's victory, like the dummy I am, I ventured out into the social media world to find the reaction of Saints fans and, of course, so-called Saints fans as well. It was mostly positive, as it is here on the show today, which was a pleasant surprise. But, of course, you had some numbnuts who probably were miserable at their own weddings trying to piss on other people's parades. One early dumbass of the week candidate commented on my instant reaction, quote, "There you go again, trying to make Tyler look all good by himself," which I've never done. Another moron said, quote, "Shough delivered a W against the Porter Potty Panthers." Then there was one of my favorites. Quote, "Saints fans never cease to surprise me. They ought to let go of the rope because this mediocre 26-year-old had a couple of nice plays against a crap team. Y'all truly deserve what Mickey and Gail doing to y'all." Right after they typed that in, you could hear them yelling out in the background, "Yes, dear. I changed the light bulb in the laundry room. Yeah, I'll take out the garbage in the street as soon as this Lions-Commanders game ends, and so I can see if I won my 19-leg parlay." Here's the thing. Was Sunday's victory a season changer? Of course not. But it was one that brought many of us hope. And that's not anything any of us have had around here in a long time. Not us realists, anyway. That hope may fade away as fast as it got here. But rest assured, that day ain't today. And that's the biggest difference between this win and the Giants win, at least for me. We'll always talk about the eye test. And the eye test gave me hope. Not just with Shough, but with the energy the team played with, sensing that this is the beginning of change in a different time. For the first time this season, I can foresee more victories. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 or maybe even, dare I say it, 4 more wins. But something different. There was something different yesterday than what I've seen before yesterday. I get that this is a show based in reality, and what we're feeling could end up being out of touch, but that's okay. As for Tyler Shough, I can't wait to find out if Sunday's performance was a fluke or a real reason for hope. These Saints on Sunday, whoever they were, played as if they believed something was different. When a few marginal calls went against them and they could have turned around their momentum, they didn't let it affect them. And that's something we haven't felt since whooping up on Jameis and the Browns 53 weeks ago in the Superdome. That seems like forever ago. On this Sunday, Rashid Shaheed and Trevor Penning were gone. Taliesin Fuaga was out with an injury, and Asim Richards played well in his place. Some guy I never heard of with a hyphenated name was playing tight end, and he caught a pass. Demario Davis looked like he took a few sips from Endymion's chalice, and there was even a Pete Werner sighting when he fell on a fumble. For the first time in a whopping 29 games, a Saints quarterback passed for more than 280 yards. 29 games. Alvin Kamara actually looked like he gave a damn. Chris Olave showed all the haters why he indeed is the number one receiver in this league. Juwan Johnson didn't drop a single pass and actually made some key grabs. There was clear evidence the plan is for Devon Vele to become a significant part of this offense. And I'm not even upset Kellen Moore's play calling and decision-making is still a work in progress, and he's way too conservative. And this is coming from a get-off-my-lawn dude who thinks you usually should punt from the plus 39 on 4th and 5. I'm not mad Taysom Hill was in the game for 11 plays when it should have been more like 2 or 3. No one has bitched about Blake Grupe in at least, 3 weeks. Last week, in an expected blowout loss to a Super Bowl candidate, the Los Angeles Rams, they held the Saints to a franchise low 16 minutes and 7 seconds in time of possession. On Sunday, they more than doubled that and headed for nearly 7 more minutes more than their opponent. They lost the first 4 road games by an aggregate score of 135-56. But on Sunday, they won at Carolina by 10. It was their first double-digit victory away from the Dome since opening last season 2-0 with a rout of them Dallas Cowboys. Yes, there indeed was something very different about this one. And the best part about it is fans get to enjoy it for at least 2 weeks. Is a mathematical certainty the Saints will not lose this coming Sunday. Who knows whether Tyler Shough is the answer at quarterback for the future? Who knows whether all the things that went right on Sunday will go right again versus the hated Dirty Birds in 2 weeks, or whether they'll even go right again at all in 2025. But you know what? For at least today and the rest of this week, no one, and I mean no one, is going to piss on our parade. Ain't nobody got time for that. We're going to enjoy this victory because you know what? I told you this already. We've earned it, damn it. If the haters want to be miserable, they can go find a dark corner somewhere and hang out all by themselves and wow till the sun goes down. For the first time in a long time, there's hope. Embrace it. Love on it. Take it to dinner. You never know if it's gonna last for a while or whether it's gonna be a one-night stand. And it's been a long time, but from what I can remember, one-night stands were pretty fun in the moment. We'll find out soon enough what's next to come our way. And we don't need to be in a rush. And that's my dime. Enjoy the moment, man. Like I said, it feels like there's going to be more of these, but I don't know. And you don't know. We don't know if Tyler Shough is the future quarterback of this franchise. But watching what I saw yesterday, and even to some degree, what I saw the week before that in just a terrible game, I told you this. There's hope. He could be. Slow who dat. Okay, good morning from the Central Coast of California. Things are looking up. Absolutely, they are looking up. Hudson Miller. Good morning, Hudson. How are you? How are things at Channel 6? Hopefully well. I don't know if you're showing them, Gabe, or if I'm just not seeing them. I'm having issues on my end with comments. Keep going. Jay Tucker Rafferty, good morning. The one thing that helped more is that he stayed with the run. I don't disagree with that at all. Kamara, 12 carries for 83 yards. Touched the ball 25 times. Mitch Bergeron, good morning. It's been a rough year for football in Louisiana. Long I-10, McNeese, Louisiana Lafayette, LSU, and the Saints have all had a rough year. On Sunday, we found an oasis in the desert. Let's enjoy. I'm going to enjoy it. At least today, I'm going to enjoy it. I mean, it is what it is. Cedric Bolo, good morning. Who dat, baby? Look, We're going to keep going. And oh, by the way, I missed this one before. Jay Hamilton, good day for the Saints. We'll be watching Shough closely. Randall's here. Good morning. I figured you would be here this morning. I know you're probably a little upset this morning because the Saints won, ruining your parade. Lance said he took a sip from Endymion's chalice once and woke up in Shreveport. You and me both, my friend. I'm just going to say my first ride in Endymion, I don't remember it very much. Rocky, he's a little late, but the Panthers can shock it. Who dat, baby? Apathy says, if LSU skipped on Darian Brown and Nick Anderson and got two more quality O-linemen, Kelly probably still has a job, and LSU would have still been in the mix. Yeah. That's your first comment of the day, Apathy? Ray Barra says, oh, I'm sorry to hear this, Ray. My mama passed this morning, and here I am feeling like they did it for her. Tons of memories with her and this team. She took me to my first game. She would be proud. Ray, we're going to dedicate today's show to your mama. We can't do this. I mean, my mama's been gone for a little while now. She passed in 2006. Hard to believe, man, almost 20 years ago. Wow, January of 2006. She was young when she passed. She was 61. So I know what it's like. I've lost both my parents now, and we are dedicating today's show to Ray Ibarra's mama. We love our mamas here. Charles says, great time. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Rocky, R.I.P. Absolutely. Prayers from the A-Town. Charles Manga says he's sorry. Yeah, going through, by the way, I'm drinking out my Alvin Kamara cup. And there's my toast. All right. Ryan O'Shea is here. Who dat? Yesterday was so much more fun than a win. Here's hoping to a rebuild. Just got cut in half. Come on. I swear I'm not pissing on anybody's parade. I'm just going to say, still, it's one game, but it was a fun game. It's 17 points. It felt like so much more than that. And I woke up. Part of the reason why I don't have the clips that I wanted to show or a Pelican slide and it was running late is because I texted Gabe about 8:15. I woke up late this morning. I usually get up about 6:30, 6:45 on a Monday, and take time, drink my coffee, and by 7:30 I'm in the dungeon and I'm putting everything together. Now, I had written my dime last night, so I'm like, okay, I got a little extra time. I couldn't get out of bed until like 8. I think it was right at 8 when I finally drank my coffee, and so I was a little behind this morning. But part of the reason is not just because I stayed up writing my dime, but I had to go back and I did watch the condensed game. So I watched the Saints game in full last night for a second time because I had to see what I missed. It just felt like they scored more than 17 points, didn't it? It just felt like they did. So I went back and watched it again, and I got to say, the offensive line, at first, I didn't think they played that well, but I went back and rewatched it. I'm like, they played pretty darn good. I mean, is getting rid of Trevor Penning, was it that big of a deal? I mean, Sim Richards, I got to say, for his first game as a tackle on this team, because I think Richards is more of a guard, isn't he? Whatever. I mean, I thought he played pretty well. I was very surprised at how well he played. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the O-line was great, but that's one of the better games they played this year. And again, they did it without Taliesa Fuaga. They did it without, Luke Fortner was in there at center. And Radens was playing left guard. So it's guys that haven't played together and did a decent job. Kamara, I don't know what got in Alvin Kamara. And it's not just that the offensive line was playing better. He was rocking and rolling. He had over 100, I think it was 113 yards of total offense. 111, somewhere right around there. I wasn't happy that Taysom Hill was in as much as we can get. Look, I don't want to get on the Taysom. You start dissing on Taysom Hill and people start hating on you for it. But look, Taysom Hill's not the future of this franchise. I just didn't understand what they were trying to do there. And you're trying to get a win. I get it, blah, do whatever you can. But Taysom Hill he's just not the same Taysom Hill. He looked really good last 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Nobody looked good last week. He needs to be in the game like four to six plays a game. Or if you're going to play him at tight end because you need to, fine. But I don't get why. Kellen Moore's using him more than the other coaches were. It's almost like he's just trying to pay him off. Or are we paying this money for Taysom Hill? I feel like I got to use him. It's not helping anything. He's not effective. Maybe I'm wrong. Jason Benson, why is our play calling so questionable at times? 3rd and 5, and we keep running. I agree, especially when Shough is shucking it up all day. Absolutely, Jason. That was part of what I just said. It's almost like, and again, not everything can be sunshine and roses, so it is what it is. But Kellen Moore is still learning, and I get it. And he's been a pretty good, I wouldn't say great. He's been a pretty good play caller throughout his career. He's been able to roll with whatever he has. He showed that last year with the Eagles, and obviously it's easy to roll when you got a Saquon Barkley. However, I think he's struggling a little bit, and he has been oddly. I thought he was going to be like uber aggressive, like a lot of these young coaches, and be, I don't want to say Dan Campbell-ish, but I thought there was going to be so many more like going for it on 4th downs it's been kind of the opposite. I mean, there are times when, yesterday, and I think it was Rocky that I reached out to about this. Had a bunch of DMs yesterday, so I'm apologizing if it was someone else. But they kick that field goal. They go down there and they get to the 2-yard line and they stall and they kick a field goal on 4th and 2, 4th and goal at the 2. First of all, you don't run the Taysom Hill play. You just run it too much. Okay. They knew that what was coming. They ran Alvin Kamara up the middle. Didn't trust your quarterback enough to try to throw it. I thought the play calling on the end of that drive was bad. The Saints, we know that they've not been good in the red zone. And so you think about the 2 touchdown passes that Shough threw, neither one of them were in the red zone. So it's not like Shuck's necessarily better than Rattler in the red zone, because how many points did the Saints score yesterday in the red zone? 3. That's not any better than Spencer Rattler. So I think Tyler Shough is a great reason for hope. He brings hope. But that being said, the Saints have got to find a way to be better in the red zone, and I don't think it involves Taysom Hill. And look, got to take some chances. You got nothing to lose. Look, you're 2-8 now. That's great. You got to win. Now you're only 1 game behind Atlanta. Just think about this for a minute, by the way. Think about this for a second. The Saints are on a bye. Atlanta's already had their bye. If Atlanta loses next week, and Gabe, can you tell me who Atlanta plays next week? I don't know. Look that up for me. But, the Saints could be in 3rd place. That's not a big deal. I would have said even 2 weeks ago, probably, there's no way in hell this team's going to finish in 3rd place. They realistically could. Not that that's great. A lot of you don't want that to happen. Bart says he was surprised to see how well the Saints played. Any chance we win out to make the playoffs? That would be a 0. Hold on. Gabe's doing it. I'm going to do it for you. Roll them. 0.0, baby. The Falcons play the Panthers next week. That ought to be interesting. Good morning, Avide. Welcome. Glad you're here. Lewis Jacobson is here. He needed that. Told his best friend before the game. We stopped the run. We get the dub. Who dat? UBN wants to know, who is the most unpredictable team? Buffalo, Green Bay, or Carolina? I guess Carolina is unpredictable, but I don't know. I don't think because what's the huge unpredictable game they've had this year? Beating Green Bay. Other than that, and I know Zach says they're not a mediocre football team. They're not a mediocre football. Yeah, they are a mediocre football team. But Buffalo is unpredictable because I don't think anyone saw that coming yesterday. That's a whole different story. UBN says this weather sucks. Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. I think it's fantastic. Hakeem, big dog. Welcome. Oh boy, one smoke. What is wrong with y'all? Your first okay, I'm not. If you want to be negative about LSU, great, but your first comment of the day is negative. That's what y'all taking out of the Nuss sucks. Folds under pressure. Oh boy, Nuss sucks. That's why LSU's losing. Nuss sucks. How about they're just not very good? They played the number 4 team in the country, and they're just not good enough to beat the number 4 team in the country. And you know what? We're going to get to LSU, but they pretty much did what the odds makers and most people thought they would do. The spread was 10.5, and they lost by 11. It's amazing how that happens, by the way. Hakeem says he's not ready to crown him yet, but he's impressed with what Shough did yesterday. Hopes he can build on it going forward because, honestly, Mendoza, Moore, and Simpson aren't better than what we have. You know, I don't know yet. Look, I've told you what I think is I still don't necessarily think the future at quarterback is on this roster. However, I'm not going to say it's 0.0, and I'm also going to say this. The Saints are stubborn. So if it's even kind of close, if Shough even kind of looks like – if Shough looks like he looked yesterday the rest of the season, there's almost no chance that they're going to draft a quarterback. Let's be realistic. They're not. So that's who they are. And again, I guess if he plays like he played yesterday the rest of the year, they shouldn't. They should use it on a playmaker probably. CJ Ferrand says, I don't care what anyone says. Shough took command of this offense and impressed them yesterday. It's something to be optimistic about in the future. Panthers have beaten some good teams this year. Absolutely. And the Saints look, we haven't even talked enough about the defense. Let's get some comments about that Saints defense. Gabe, also, if you could go look, I don't know if you have the capability to do this, but see if there are any comments on the live Twitter feed. Because they don't come through here in the comments. If they do, I can talk about them here. Brandon Kraft, by the way, if you're watching us on X and you want to comment, you got to come find us on YouTube or Facebook, preferably YouTube, and you can comment on there. Brandon Kraft says, okay, Gabe says no. Usually they yell, "Ma, more meatloaf" from their parents' basement. Yeah, same kind of thing. You know what I mean. That's what I meant. Jason says that Shough passes the, quote, eye test. That's what happened. He looked like a pretty good NFL quarterback. We know what that looks like around here. Again, it's one game. It's Carolina, so I'm not going to get too fired up. But I got to say, there were multiple times yesterday when I went, okay. I mean, you'll know what I've said. I have not been in Shough's corner. You'll have the numbnuts that'll be around saying that, look, there are so many people waiting for Shough to fail because, you know, they're fans of the other quarterback. I'm not going to get on Spencer Rattler today or really, I hope never again, honestly. I'm just saying there are people out there that are still lovers of the other quarterback that are openly rooting for this quarterback to fail. And he stinks, and he's not any good either. Look, come on, man. But and they'll be the first ones to tell me, if he stinks, you've been saying he's going to be great. No, I haven't. Not one time. In fact, if he is good and he is the future quarterback, I'm going to owe the dude apology because I said I don't think he's going to be the future quarterback either. There's hope here today. A lot more hope than I've had, or I think any of us have had in a while. Brandon says the difference that going from 5.4 to 10.4 yards per attempt. That opens up the run game. It sure doesn't hurt it. And being able to throw deep, and I know that Rattler tried a few times, but not enough. Saints threw it deep multiple times yesterday. Dylan Smith, glad the team got a feel-good win to go into the bye week. And that's the whole thing. You know, you can enjoy this going forward. You know, that's what I'm talking about in the dime. All right, I'm trying to catch up to the present here because we're going to move on in just a little bit. Mr. Gotro's here. Saints played on all cylinders. Who dat? Apathy says he woke up to a power outage in Metairie. Yay, energy. They can't even handle the first big cold front. Maybe there were so many people trying to get on the Dattitude podcast that it froze up the lines. Did you ever think about that, Apathy? David +1 is not agreeing. I knew there'd be people out there that didn't agree with my Taysom take. Taysom is getting paid a lot. Who cares? If he can contribute in any way, then so be it. But he's not contributing. That's the point. I don't care who's I got to be honest, David. Here's my thing. And not just with Taysom Hill, with everybody. I don't really care if somebody's getting paid whatever it is they're getting paid. If they're not part of the future of this franchise, except for maybe a Demario Davis, because I don't know. Maybe I joked about him drinking from and dimming his chalice. Maybe he can play another year or two. But I got to be honest. If they're not part of the future of this franchise, why are we wasting time putting them on the field? You're 2-8. We got to know who is the future of this team. And running the old Taysom Hill plays that everybody knows how they're coming. It's basically like Kellen Moore just stole the plays from Sean Payton's playbook. He hasn't even dressed them up or anything. That's the problem I have with that. Antoinette, that's because every team knows if Taysom Hill is in at quarterback, he's running the ball. I mean, that's my point. I'm not trying to bash on him. Hakeem, the Taysom Hill power game is still not fooling anyone. I love the guy, but is just being exactly how I didn't even read that comment before I said what I just said. So we're in complete agreement. He is being exactly how Sean Payton used him. I wish he'd let him throw out of the ball out of that formation for more. So would I, but I will say this. He did throw it. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago when he threw it? It looked like a wounded duck. No, you know what is the first? It's against Tampa, I think, when he came back. And he threw a pass and dude was wide open. I mean, there's no one anywhere around him. I don't know. Look, I understand the people that love Taysom Hill, and look, when I say anything that's semi-negative about Taysom Hill, man, I get some grief. Not as many as I've been getting. But look, you got it. Taysom Hill's doing what? What is he doing? I would like to see on 3rd and 2. I want to see if this is your potential future quarterback. Okay, just like when Rattler was in there, I said the same thing. At the time, you didn't 100% know that Rattler wasn't going to be the future quarterback, no matter what I said. On 3rd and 2, I would rather see Spencer Rattler trying to get the first down the same as now. If it's 3rd and goal to 2 or it's 3rd and 2, whatever, I would rather try to see your future quarterback or potential future quarterback try to get that first down. What good is it going to do? I don't know. Jason also says that Kellen Moore has been saying Vele wasn't going to get involved because we hadn't been in the red zone. We got to the red zone and in comes Taysom with no Vele in sight. I want to hear Shough to Vele touchdown. You did see a decent amount of Vele, and I do think he was in there in the red zone. I think they only tried to go to him once. Ray Barrow says Tyler impressed him with the most with his pocket presence. He looked in command. Hopes he continues to play confident. I mean, that's what it needs to be. All right, we're gonna move on in just a minute here. Big Valley says Quincy Riley may actually be better than Kool-Aid. It's a possibility. I never hear Riley's name called in a good way. You mean Kool-Aid called in a good way? Man, Kool-Aid has not had a great season. He had the 1 week where he was the player of the week, and he did have a good year. But a good week. But other than that, I don't know. Lance says it's Alontae Taylor's best game of the year. Well, I think it was. I think you're right. And that's one of the things that I actually noticed. Breaking. Is that true, Gabe? Who's reporting that? Breaking news. Adam Schefter. This is actually pretty big news in the NFL. Breaking news from Adam Schefter. New York Giants coach Brian Daboll has been fired. And I got to be honest. I think Brian Daboll is a good coach and he will land on his feet and find another job somewhere. But Brian Daboll probably deserves to be fired. I'm just going to throw it out there. When you lose that was the 3rd game or the 4th game they lost in the 4th quarter. And they lost by double digits to the Saints. I think it was the 3rd game this year that they lost with a double-digit lead in the 4th quarter. You can't do that. So, yep. By the way, Brandon, my friend Brandon is here. Good morning. By the way, has anyone seen Mark Satanovich? I mean, is there any lover of the former starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints and Mark Satanovich? I haven't seen him in a while. Where is he? Speaking of Mr. Rattler, he'd keep him good cost control. But yeah, absolutely. If you look, I think there's a better than 50-50 shot, maybe even more than that, maybe 70% shot that the two quarterbacks that are on this roster right now are going to be the two quarterbacks you have on the roster next year. Excellent chance. Mitch says Staley had an extremely good defensive plan for Carolina. Actually, I'm going to go beyond that, Mitch. And he says that Taylor, Warner, Shepard, Stutzman, and Davis all had good games. Shepard had a really good game. We never really talked enough about him either. I thought Shepard and Alontae Taylor had fantastic games. Demario Davis had a great game as well. But I'm going to say Brandon Staley has flown under the radar, and he's really done a pretty good job. Now, when we get to Wednesday and we show you the rankings, those rankings might not back up what I've been saying because those numbers are just mediocre, which actually mediocre on a 2-8 team is pretty good, I guess. But the defense has been on the field so much this year. But to go and allow 7 points, it's the Panthers, the Porta Potty Panthers. When you allow any NFL team 7 points in a football game the week after they beat the Packers on the road, that's pretty impressive. Lance, you got a point. Taysom at fullback was a good look. I don't have a problem with that. But again, is he going to be something going forward? I don't know. Owen says this was a good win for the team and the coaching staff. Moving forward, there was a lot to build on. CD, and again, by the way, I figured out that this YouTube thing where they have changed, it's not your name anymore. It's actually your handle. They have changed this. It's not a StreamYard thing. It's actually a YouTube thing. That's how YouTube wants that to come up now. They no longer want handles to come up. And you can go change that if you want to. There's a setting that you can change it from your handle to your username, and then I can see and everyone else can see when you comment. So that's up to you if you want to change that or not. But CWOUSAR says, love me some Taysom, and he's absolutely pissed that Morris taking the ball out of Shough's hands. So in other words, I mean, and look, who doesn't love Taysom? Who doesn't thank Taysom Hill for everything he's done for this team? No real Saints fan would. Mark Satanovich, he's here. He heard me. Rat has shown it. This is, if you're listening after the fact, this is actually this is someone actually saying this. And Mark Satanovich is a real person. He's not a troll. Rat has shown his ability to send in plays to Shough at a rapid pace, which has sped up the pace of the team. All right, so maybe he's a little bit of a troll. That's just being troll. He's just trolling. Sean says the green wave is still rolling. And we're going to briefly talk about the green wave, I promise. A-Town says, great win yesterday, but when Chris Myers calls a Saints game, the team doesn't really play up to par. Well, I mean, for those of you who might not remember, Chris Myers was on the air here in New Orleans, was a local. It was him and Jim Henderson were the sports anchors at Channel 4 back in the, mid to late 80s and into the 90s, I think. And he did 4th down and 4. I don't know. Mike Kafka is the interim head coach for the New York Giants, by the way. Remember, Mike Kafka was sort of a candidate to get the Saints job. He was being mentioned among the candidates. Yeah. All right. Let's before we move on and take some more comments and probably get into LSU, because I do want to talk about LSU. I'm actually going to bring Gabe on probably to talk about that. So get ready, Gabe. We told you earlier we're letting you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Best question of the day. Thank you for asking. Well, yeah, I know. I paused. That wasn't on purpose. I lost my place because I'm old. Sorry. Now I found it. It's right here. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, Native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemalt, and the folks at Evangeline, they'll begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the world. I mean, the whole wide world. They will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities, they're the top producer on that platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and none, I repeat, none, with their dedication and success. I'm getting ready for the punchline, in case you're new. Evangeline Securities is fully licensed and ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what is really important. And it ain't, you know what it ain't. It ain't anything but the rest of your life. You can find them on www.evangelinesecurities.com. ESPN now reporting the breaking news as well. Chad says, big kudos to Mark. That comment made him actually burst out with a laugh. I'm glad you got a sense of humor, Mark. And I'm glad we asked you to come and talk. My friend Jimmy Radcliffe is here. How are you doing out in California? Bet the weather's nice out there. It's a little bit warmer in California than it is here in New Orleans today, I bet. And Lance wants to know, what is up with the blocked kick call against the team that blocked the kick? Unfortunately, Lance, that was the correct call. I didn't think so at first, but I went back and good. And hello, Jim. Life is good. I'm glad to hear that. The block kick call, and it's funny because the referee was just commenting, life is good in California. He says it's 85 and sunny. The former head of the Louisiana high school football officials, is now enjoying life in California as well as he should be. That was the right call. When you block a kick, it's no different than partially blocking a punt or whatever. Once it crosses that line of scrimmage, remember Leon Lett? Get away from it. Don't touch it. Once it crosses the line of scrimmage, once the returning team touches the football, it is fair game. And the Saints should have let it go. They didn't. It was the correct call. Jason wants to know, wasn't it a dead ball when it was blocked and bounced off of a Panthers helmet? No. It crossed the line of scrimmage. Doesn't matter where it bounces. Once it crosses that line of scrimmage, you got to get away from it. Hakeem says it's a Leon Lett thing. It happened back in the 90s. It was the right call. Absolutely. Bart says it can't be the correct call if it hit a Panther after it was blocked before Cam recovered it. Not true. He didn't recover it, though. The Panthers recovered it. That's why they got the ball. That's the point. Again, I wanted it to be the wrong call. I thought that I hate that crew, by the way, and I can't remember that guy's name. But every time I see that guy, little dweeby guy who loves to get on TV, and he loves to call him some roughing the passer penalties. This guy, and I'm going to go look, and I'd be willing to bet this guy is number 1 or number 2 in the league in roughing the passer penalties. Anyway, don't get me started on him. But it was the right call. The Saints overcame it anyway. The Saints overcame the roughing the passer call on Bryce Young that I thought it was ridiculous. When Demario Davis intercepted the football, should have been 17-0. In my opinion. Brad Allen, that's his name, little dweeby son of a biscuit. Thank you, Gabe. Oh boy, come on, Lance. I got to throw this out there about once every month. Smells like some Goodell residual, Sean. Lance, come on, man. You're one of my regulars. You're a member of the Dat family. The NFL does not hate the Saints. They didn't hate Sean Payton. Sean Payton got what he deserved, dude. I know y'all don't want to believe that, but Sean Payton got what he deserved. All right, we're moving on because I do want to talk about LSU, and we're gonna have an hour and 20 minutes. I'm telling you right now, we're going to have an hour and 20. Hey, do you think it's possible that we have an hour and 20-minute show?
I don't know. We'll see. By the way, I don't know if the stats are available for this season yet, but last season, the Sean Hockley crew was number 1 in roughing the passer.
Really? Mm-hmm. I actually like him. I think he's a pretty good
So
official. By the way, if you're watching the show and you're wondering why I have this banner across the top of the page, especially if you're new here, the next live show, we usually are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but since I have gone on my own, no choice of my own, but now we're going to make the best of this, and it's going to happen, and I'm happy about it now, I think. I haven't had a day off. It has been a whirlwind. I'm actually doing some freelance work, and I literally have not taken a single day off, just a full day off. I was off for most of Saturday, but I did work a little bit. So anyway, I'm ready for a day off, and I'm going to take one on Wednesday. I'm going to take a day off, and then Friday through Monday, because the Saints have a bye week. So we're going to have our Pick'em show on Thursday. Zach's going to come on. The Pick'em crew is going to come on Thursday. So what we normally do on Friday, we're going to kind of combine Wednesday and Friday into one show on Thursday. And then next week, we're going to take Monday off, and we'll be back on Wednesday. So we'll have a show on Thursday, and then we won't have another show until Wednesday. So I'm going to take a little mini break. And also, I need to go out there and do some selling, because we need to sell the show. If you're interested in being a sponsor of the Dattitude podcast, I am telling you right now, it is going to be super reasonable rates. It is going to be worth your while. You will get your money's worth. We got, as of this morning, to show you that I know we're going to make it on our own, Gabe Henderson, and everyone else out there is listening, on a short that I did following the LSU game, and you can sponsor the shorts if you want to. Be all sorts of things to sponsor. I'm telling you, insanely reasonable, okay? But the short that we did after the LSU game, as of this morning, and it was continuing to grow, had over 35,000 views, okay? And for us here at Dat, a little just two-man crew, Gabe and I, that's it. That's who it is. I think that's pretty damn good. So anyway, the Saints one we did yesterday had, I don't know, it was like 5,000 or 6,000 as of this morning. So they're not all going to be like that. UBN says it's work trying to defend Nuss in his house. So I was working Saturday. That's true. I was definitely the only one defending Nuss in the UBN house on Saturday night. So anyway, if you want to sponsor the show, get in touch with me, Jim@jimderry.com. I'll give you my cell number, and we can go from there. I already have 3 or 4. I set up the LLC. Jim Derry Media LLC is set up, which the Dattitude podcast will fall under that wing, and we'll talk going forward.
So,
go ahead.
I'll ask you in a second where we want to start, but just before that, I will address Mark's comment. He said Tulane football going to the college football playoff, and I just looked this up. They're in a
12%, right?
They're in a tie for first place in the conference with a few other teams. USF, Navy, I believe East Carolina is also up there. Here's the thing. Out of all of those teams, Tulane has the easiest remaining in-conference schedule. So as long as they take care of business in the next few games, they have a foot in the door in the American Championship. And if they win the American Championship, then they would probably be the Group of 5 representative in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's a lot of ifs, but it is still possible. With only 2 losses, it's still possible.
Lance is right, by the way. The Dat family was here when this dynasty started. Best wishes, praying for me. Thank you. It's gonna be fine. I am uber, and I'm not just saying this. I am uber positive about the future. I am excited about what the future brings, because we can do whatever the hell we want now, and I think it's gonna be fun. All right, you know what? Let's start with you wanted to say something about Saints, but we haven't talked about LSU. Let's talk about LSU, and
let's do it.
I know your take is probably a little bit different than mine, but here's my thing. First of all, it doesn't really matter who you blame. This team has got some issues, and the next coach that comes in here, I think, has maybe as much work to do as Brian Kelly had when he came in here. It's close, maybe not quite, but it's close.
Not quite, because they've already got a really great recruiting class.
Yeah, that's
put
true.
Together, but
that is true.
And they've got more talent on the roster. But can I start with something that we'll agree with?
Go ahead. Start whatever way you want.
Can we both agree that the last 2-minute clock management at halftime is the reason that Frank Wilson will not be considered for this job?
And utterly horrendous.
That was horrendous.
Look, and for those who don't know, who didn't watch the game closely and don't know what we're talking about. Okay, so LSU is down 10-3, and they get the ball at their own 15. Alabama is out of timeouts, and there's, I think, 1 minute and 10 seconds on the clock. Okay, so here's
down.
But let's just say before that, even here's my thing.
Two when the drive started, I believe.
Okay, so here's my thing with this. I know this. LSU had 2 choices to make. They were getting the ball first in the second half. Your defense has played pretty damn good so far. Okay, your offense has been stinky poo. Okay, now you have 2 options. You can actually try to go for it and try to get a first down or 2 and get yourself in field goal range, which you're on your own 15, which I think is a moronic decision. Okay, and there's no other way to put it. Or you can run the football. If you get a first down, great. Then maybe you do something. But if you don't get a first down, you run the clock down about 25 seconds before you punt the ball to Alabama, who's then in turn going to probably kneel on it or run a play themselves because they're not going to try to do anything silly. Instead, you try to throw the football and just incredibly stupid because now you give the ball back to Alabama with a minute left and they can try to throw the ball and they end up getting a touchdown. So to me, that was the turning point of the whole football game. Blame whoever you want about whatever. But the number one dumb thing about that game was exactly what you just said. That changed the game. Any chance LSU had, and then they're still not going to win the game probably, but any chance that they had to win the game, to me, you stop them there, you go to halftime down 10-3, and then in your head, you're like, okay, we're only down a touchdown. That's one score. Even a Shough grad can figure that out. And you go down, you have a chance. Instead, they go down, they're down 2 scores. They come out of the halftime just down and out basically and go 3 and out and give the football back. And the game was over at that point.
That was where the game was lost. So
Absolutely.
I know you're completely valid in saying that a lot of people are blaming Nuss. I've been critical of Nuss in the past. I'm not blaming him for this loss. I never was. I think the game was lost on that moronic decision before halftime.
Well, I can tell you what.
Held him to, I don't know what Frank Wilson or any of those coaches have seen from this offense this year, but there is not one drive that they've put together this season that I've thought, you know what, maybe they can go 85 yards in 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, they can, absolutely. And look,
but
I said it in the short, and we'll get to it in just one second. But I said it on the short. You know, it also doesn't help that you have Harlem Berry had a 32-yard run. Okay.
37.
Besides 37-yard run. So besides that, and besides Harlem Berry's yards, LSU actually had negative rushing yardage if you take out Harlem Berry's yards. And he only had 60-something yards. And I know sacks count as rushes, but still. It's still unacceptable for that to happen. And look, I thought the game plan was on offense was non-existent. I get that they tried to do something they haven't been doing, and they the screen pass, and we were like joking at UBN's house. Oh, the screen pass, great! You know, something they haven't done. It worked, but it worked like the first 3 or 4 times, but you can't. Then they just started going to that, and like that was
that's because that was the one surviving element of the Joe Sloan offense. Because
apparently that was the game plan. That was the game. The game plan is going to be screen pass.
I will say to their credit, on those first few drives when they got Nuss out of the pocket, I thought that was really well worked. They moved the ball pretty well on those first 2 drives, and then nothing.
Because Alabama adjusted and LSU didn't.
Yeah.
It's the same story that we've seen all year long. It wasn't just this game, so it just goes to show. Anyway, it's a long-winded way to say that I completely back up with what you said. It's proof. There were actually people saying, well, Frank Wilson get this job, and I said 0.0 before. And now if there were negative percentages, I would put a negative percentage on it. There is no chance that Frank Wilson gets this job. And again, I don't even know that he wants it. His specialty is recruiting. I think he's a fantastic recruiter, and I pray that LSU can find a way to keep him because he's wonderful at that. And I want him to stay here and do that, but he cannot be head coach of the LSU football Tigers. So that's just my opinion.
Absolutely not.
All right. I want to stay with LSU for a minute, and we can talk about, I'm sure we'll talk about Garrett Nussmeier a little bit.
Let's do it.
My thing is this, and here's where we're going to disagree, and I'm okay with us disagreeing because I know I'm in the minority with LSU fans, the people who, again, I said this in the beginning, if you aren't here, here's my thought process on Garrett Nussmeier. Brian Kelly's gone, and the next person logically to blame and to hate on and to spew just complain, and I'm not saying you're doing this, I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things out in the social media world, I think that if you listen and you go right on, people just can't stand Garrett Nussmeier. And they can't stand Garrett Nussmeier because basically, in the grand scheme of things, he's not Jaden Daniels and he's not Joe Burrow. It's the same reason why Saints fans hated Derek Carr. He wasn't Drew Brees. Drew Brees is gone, he's never coming back. Well, Joe Burrow's gone, he's never coming back. Jaden Daniels is gone, and he's never coming back. I don't think that Garrett Nussmeier has been, I mean, you're talking about a guy who threw for 4,000 yards last year. So he's not terrible. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. It's not terrible. Has he been as good as people would hope? No, he was plus 600 to win the Heisman Trophy. He's definitely regressed. Part of it's the O-line. Part of it is the injuries. And part of it, I think he's just pressing and he's just trying to make something happen, and he just can't. Part of it is too that he doesn't necessarily have the game with this O-line. You got to be able to be a little bit more mobile, and he's just not able to do that. There's all sorts of things. But that being said,
it doesn't help when you roll right into a sack.
Well, that was pretty stupid. That was
one of the dumbest, one of the worst sacks I've ever seen.
That was literally the dumbest play I've seen all year. So I'm not giving. I'll give credit where credit to roll into a sack. We laughed out loud at that one, and I'm like, oh,
you know what that is? That is the dumbest play I've seen from an LSU quarterback since Max Johnson tried to throw it behind his back against UCLA. You remember that play?
Yeah, I do.
Getting sacked, and he just throws it away.
That was one of the dumbest things I've seen a quarterback do, just in general, since you're too young to remember this. But do y'all out there, I got an older crowd for the most part. You remember Gus Frerotte? Gus Frerotte scored a touchdown and went and banged his head into a brick wall, I believe, at old FedEx Field for the Washington, when he played for the Washington Redskins.
Very Cam Scatterbo-esque.
Something along those lines, yeah. So anyway, that was a dumb play. But the point is, here we are, and it's a quote-unquote quarterback controversy. I have no idea whether you and I are going to agree on this or not. I think we're going to disagree, but here's my point about the future. I mean, is there a chance Michael Van Buren is the future of this team going forward? There's a chance. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't seen anything that makes me think this kid's the future, but maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Yeah, by the way, I'll get to that UBN in just 1 second. Here's the thing though. This team, I don't need to see an audition for the future, because I think that for this team to be able to potentially go to a decent bowl, if they win out, and they're going to win out, maybe not, probably not. But first off, I think that Garrett Nussmeier has, and I say this, I don't put this label on a lot of people, but Garrett Nussmeier has earned the right, just like Drew Brees, and I'm not comparing him to Drew Brees, don't get pissed off. I'm just using a comparison. But when I said somebody like Drew Brees, somebody like Demario Davis has earned the right to retire when he wants to retire. You know, lots of players along that ilk. When you talk about LSU and players that have given their all, Garrett Nussmeier has been through every smoke and ring of fire at this school for the past 5+ years. And I think he deserves a chance to finish his career out as the starter. It's not going to affect anything going forward. And so do I think that Van Buren should get in there and have a series or two in each game? 100%. Absolutely. And I kind of thought that's what they were going to do against Alabama. But to me, it just sucks that if they put Nuss on the bench for the rest of the season, I just think it's absolute BS and a bunch of BS. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible. You know what?
So I get what you're saying. Here's where I'm at, though. We have never seen the college game mimic the professional game more than it does now.
That's true.
LSU is a $100+ million revenue maker.
Okay.
They make a lot of money.
That's a fact.
No individual is greater than the brand. Garrett Nussmeier,
I don't disagree with that.
What he has done, the commitment that he's shown to the university, to the team, commendable. As I've said on the show time and time again, I will never say a bad word about Nuss's commitment, him as a person. But what I've seen on the field this year has been shocking compared to last year. I wasn't the biggest Garrett Nussmeier fan last year, but he has regressed in ways that I didn't even know were imaginable this year. He looks lost playing quarterback. And here's my thing. I agree that Garrett Nussmeier deserves to finish out his career as the starter, which is why whichever bowl game that LSU goes to, I would name him the starter. But you brought in a quarterback in Michael Van Buren with SEC experience for his true sophomore season before you hit a very crucial point in your program's future, being the transfer portal, the recruiting periods. You need to see whether or not your quarterback next season is on this roster. And I think that's why these next 3 games, Michael Van Buren should start, and then you give Garrett Nussmeier his send-off in the bowl game.
Remember Aaron Brooks? Remember Aaron Brooks?
Vaguely.
You're young. Yeah, you're young. You're really. He was the only other quarterback before Saturday night that I've ever seen do this in the ball. I mean, it's really hard to do. A friend of mine once tried to do it. You put a football in your hand, and Aaron Brooks was great at this. He would go back to throw the ball, and when he would throw the ball would come out of his hand and go backwards. Michael Van Buren is the first person I've seen do that. Am I saying he's Aaron Brooks? No, but not when I got sacked. No.
Are you talking when he fumbled?
Yeah. I don't think it was on
sack. When he fumbled, he got sacked.
My point, I'm kind of being I'm trying to find a lighthearted way to say that I know it's only one performance. It's not even a full half of a performance. I just don't. This is not a guy to me that you want leading a team that you expect to be in a college football playoff and maybe beyond. At least
I don't know.
Not if you expect it anytime in the near future. Put it that way.
He was good. Like he was thrust into a no-win situation last year. He had to be a true freshman quarterback starting in the SEC for Mississippi State, and he looked decent. There were some bright spots there. There's some flashes. There were some throws that he made on Saturday night, and his throws weren't perfect, but there were some throws that he made that I was like, you know what? This is what I expected of Garrett Nussmeier. He was throwing the ball in some tight windows. He was hitting some receivers. Now, he had some bad throws. That's expected. You're playing Alabama, and it's his not first real action of the season, but he hasn't gotten much action.
Here's a comment that I want to show real quick because I want to discuss this for a second. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm almost ready to move on already. David says, I say Taysom doesn't deserve anything on a losing team, but then Nuss does deserve it on a talented team. Those opinions conflict. They absolutely do not. You're comparing oranges to elephant nuts, and here's why. They're nothing like one another. Taysom Hill is 35 and his football career is basically done. He's not going anywhere when he leaves the Saints, and if he does, it might be for $1 million or $2 million. Exactly. Taysom Hill's done with his football career. Garrett Nussmeier, again, has given everything he could possibly have and then some to this program. And potentially, I'm not saying he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. He potentially, he's going to stink in the NFL. I've already said he's going to hold clipboards. You don't know jack shit, okay? You don't know. You don't know. I don't know. None of us know. I actually think Garrett Nussmeier has a pro career going forward
with the right coach. You can, yeah.
Correct.
I think if you send him, I don't know if I've said this on the show or only with my buddies, but I think if the Rams were to take him, where he's an understudy. For Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay gets his hand on him, I think he can be a good quarterback.
I absolutely agree.
The one thing that really lacks with his game.
Anyway, that's the difference between what I said. So my statements don't conflict. They're completely two different situations. Go ahead.
My last point on Nuss. He just looks lost playing quarterback this year sometimes. I mean, he's perpetually calling a timeout. His clock management has been horrible.
I agree. It was bad.
There was one point
certainly bad the other night.
I don't remember if it was this game or if it was another game where they had to call a timeout because the clock was coming down, and then they had to hurry up and they snapped it with like 0 seconds left.
3 of the timeouts that they used on Saturday night were because they were trying to avoid a delay game. But that's also part of the coaching staff not being prepared 100%. To go into that game.
100%. The coaching was abysmal.
Anyway,
Blake Baker.
To show you where LSU has come, this line against Arkansas, and if you can't see it on screen, Arkansas, as of this morning, is a 6-point underdog at LSU. Game's at 11:45 a.m. That's a weird time, by the way. It's usually either 11 a.m. or 2. I don't know why they're playing.
The SEC's been doing it this year. I don't know why.
That is so strange. But however, to show you where LSU has dropped, this line at Tiger Stadium probably would have been in the realm of 15 to 18 just probably 5 weeks ago, and now it's 6. And honestly, that's a good line. I have no idea.
I wouldn't be surprised. We've been saying it for weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this game.
I definitely wouldn't. I don't know what LSU. I don't know if they're going to care at all. They may not care at all going forward. We'll see. So anyway, all right. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about Saints, so I do want to go back. Just and I'm sorry, but be prepared that the side of this. You might want to move over. Just there. I'll
move over.
There you go.
A little bit.
So real quick on the Saints, what are your thoughts there?
So I don't want to be a party pooper today, and that's not my intention.
A Derry downer.
Yeah, Derry downer, party pooper, whatever term you want to use. So here's two. I've got 2 points. So I don't want you to comment on the first because I'm gonna say one thing and then I'll say another. So 19 of 29, 238, 4 touchdowns, and no picks.
19 of what? Say that again.
19 of 29, 238 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks.
Is that one of Rat's numbers when he threw the 90? Now, who is that?
That is Will Levis in his first start. And Titans fans were this is an example I use because it's the most recent one I could think of. And because it's in division for me. So close example. Titans fans were so ready to crown him, and people were already saying, "Oh, everyone was wrong about Will Levis. He's the future." And my point is just exercise caution with these takes. I've seen, and I'm like I said, I'm not here to get anyone down or strip you of hope. Just exercise caution because Tyler Shough did look good the other day, but one game is not everything.
All right, and your other point.
So, and then I'll say this, this is what I think you'll agree with me because if you remember a few weeks ago, we had a little disagreement because I said the Saints should not draft a quarterback. Are you now where I'm at? I think in this draft, I still think,
where am I?
Yeah, where are you? Do you think they should draft a quarterback, or do you think?
I don't know, man. I'm not.
I don't think they should.
I said in the open that I really, I'm not ready to say. I don't necessarily believe that he's the future, but I don't know either. And even then, I said maybe I was being a little unfair because we haven't seen enough of Tyler Shough. We knew that I think any reasonable fan knew that Rattler is not the future of this franchise. Okay, can he be a backup? Absolutely, he can be a backup, and I'm okay with him being the backup. But I don't necessarily think Tyler Shough is the future. However, I'm not ready to. I'm no different. I really don't feel a whole lot different. I don't necessarily think he's the future.
I get it. I don't either.
But I need to see the last 7 games of the schedule. I need to see how he plays because it's a long rebuild process. So if he plays like he plays yesterday, or even a semblance of what he played yesterday, then I'm willing to say, okay, you know what? Let's go another year and see, because of what you said, what you said a few weeks ago, this great quarterback class we thought we were going to have, maybe it isn't as great as we thought. And so maybe you don't go out there and look, if you stink it up next year, you're probably going to have another chance to draft a quarterback in 2027. So
exactly. And that was my whole point when I said
I'm on the fence right now, which is not where I was, I guess, a few weeks ago.
No, I get it. I just don't. My whole point, and this is why I say this now. My opinion has not changed. Good. My opinion has not changed.
Pissing in the Cheerios, baby.
About the Saints quarterback position, my opinion has not changed. But I think Tyler Shough, between Shough and Rattler, what I've seen from both of them this season, even Rattler, I know you don't want to trot him out there for another year. I think this team has more pressing needs right now. They need to continue to build the roster before they take another quarterback. That's where I'm at with this. I think you can get good enough quarterback play from those two.
I think there are a lot of Saints fans that are actually on the same boat that you're in. But here's my thing. You've already been trying to build in the trench. To me, there's nothing more important than the trenches. No. To me, that's the most important. If you can't block for your quarterback, doesn't matter who your quarterback is. So to me, that's the number one thing, is to build in the trenches, and the Saints absolutely still need to build in the trenches.
Yep.
However, that being said, you can't do anything without a quarterback either. So it's kind of a quandary. It's kind of a catch-22. You know how pissed off. I mean, you can't draft a guard with the 5th pick of the draft.
You absolutely can't.
So you. And the Saints it's not in their DNA to trade down. So that's probably not going to happen.
No, but I think if there's any year, I believe Zach said it on Friday, if there's any year to do it, this might be the year.
We say that every year. We literally, I'm not joking. You can go back and watch pre-draft shows that we've done on this channel over the past 3 years. And we've said, I know that we've said that 3 years in a row. If there's any year to do it, this is the year. They're not going to do it. They don't do it.
Well, no, I know. But if you look at like the best positions in this draft, I think you're looking at defensive secondary and tackles. Yeah. The Saints are set in the tackle department. They've got their 2 tackles. They've got their cornerstones for the future at those positions.
As of right now, this is what I look. I think this. I also think that you remember, and this is probably gonna be a controversial statement. But you got to remember, Kelvin Banks played guard in college. I wouldn't be that upset if there's some. And I don't know the situation. You know this better. You follow this a little closer than I do. I don't start following this till after the season's over. But I think that if there is some stud left tackle and the Saints are dropped, let's say the Saints win 3 more games, which is a possibility. I'm not saying they're going to win 3 more. They might. If they're a 5-win team, they're going to be drafting like 8th. Okay, they're going to be drafted 6th to 8th somewhere in that realm. Okay, and if you have the 6th or 8th pick and the top tackle in the draft falls to you and is, I don't know who's the top tackle right now. Do you even know? I don't even know who it is.
I think it's Caden Proctor.
Okay, well, okay, well, let's say that's the projection of where that is. Do you do that again and then move Banks to left guard? I mean, that'd be one hell of a left side of a line. I don't know. Maybe
it would be.
I just don't get it to top receiver in the draft. That's something you certainly need to.
Yeah, you do. I think you get. I think you could get a good receiver in the second. If I were the Saints, if Caleb Downs is there when you're picking, I would take him. And I know it's tough to hear a safety. I think the Saints are going to have a better cap situation next year. You can go get a guard in free agency. Guards are
you can for sure
plenty in free agency.
And look, what I saw from Asim Richards yesterday, this kid again, that's just one game. But I liked what I saw yesterday. He started off a little rough. Shough got sacked on like the 2nd or 3rd play of the game. I don't remember what it was, but he shored up after that. I think with a little work, he potentially could play right guard or left guard or whatever. But
it was a very soft launch for a new look offensive line. I think the Panthers are 28th in sacks this season, and that's only because they're level with the Eagles, who have played one less game. They played tonight, so they're really bottom 3, bottom 4 in the league in that department.
I'm going to go off on this because I really this is how I want to end the show, and I might show a few more comments here before we go off the air. But here's how we're going to end our segment together. Oh, we still got to do Monday Night Football picks. I will say this to your end, and I saw someone saying there's a difference between. Here's the thing, and we just got Frank Wilson lays out LSU's playing at quarterback. Maybe we can when you go off here, go see what Frank Wilson said about LSU and quarterback.
I can tell you where you're talking.
So I think this, and again, I'm not. I know there aren't a lot of Spencer Rattler fans here anyway, so I'm not just trying to poo-poo on them because they're not here and whatever. This is the way that I feel. I know he's only played 10 quarters, but what I've seen from Tyler Shough in 10 quarters I've seen enough. Just like I saw enough after Rattler played 10 quarters or 14 quarters or 3 games or whatever it was. I said it a long time ago. It's not something that I just started saying. I said it from the get-go. I think that if any of these guys is a potential future quarterback, not saying they are or they aren't, but I don't think there's any doubt that what Tyler Shough has shown me in the past 2 games shows me that he has a potential to be, and Spencer Rattler can not lead any NFL team, in my opinion. I don't think he has the skills to lead NFL team. What I've seen, especially yesterday, the way his presence in the pocket was much better. His escape of when to leave the pocket, I thought his decision-making was much better. His deep ball, I don't know. We'll see. But where to throw the ball and is able to read and to get away from his first read, I thought was a lot better. So there are just so many things. And again, I don't want to show comments of people bashing on the Rat. That's not what this is about. What I'm saying here, I'm just saying from what I have seen personally, in my opinion, that's what this show is about. It's called Dattitude with Jim Derry. In my opinion, I just think that Shough has a chance and Rattler doesn't. If that's fair.
So here's the thing. I'll end with this comment. It's very generic. I have seen enough progression from Rattler from last year to this year where I will hold off saying that he's got no quote unquote no future as a starter because of guys. And I'm not comparing him to these guys. I'm just saying guys like Sam Darnold, Spencer Rattler looked way better in the last few starts that he played than Sam Darnold did in New York. And now Sam Darnold is having one of the best years of any quarterback in the league.
And
So
Sam Darnold will do what Sam Darnold did last year.
Personally, the Seahawks are good this year. They're really good.
The Vikings were good last year.
Their defense was really good. The Seahawks are good on both sides of the ball.
I'm telling you right now, Spencer Rattler, Cinderella will strike midnight, and the glass slipper will fall off, and they'll lose in the first game they play in the playoffs because of Sam Darnold. I agree that they have a really good team, and I love their coach. Yep. I just don't think Sam Darnold's on that. Anyway, look,
I'm just exercising caution in that department as well.
Right,
I'm not one for definitives very often.
I don't think there's anything wrong with exercising caution. I just think that from what I've seen going forward, I think that going back to the dime, and if you missed Derry's dime, the first time in 29, that is a long time, 29 games. This is going way back deep into the Derek Carr era. The first time in 29 games that a New Orleans Saints quarterback has thrown for 208. Drew Brees used to do it every damn game. 29 games it's been since a New Orleans Saints quarterback has thrown for 280 or more yards, and Tyler Shough did that for the first time in 29
Can I make
games.
A bold prediction?
He won't do it again the rest of the year?
No, I was actually going to say you'll probably see it a couple more times this season.
I think they have to open up this offense, and that was in my opinion, Kellen Moore being pretty damn conservative. So I think that he's going to throw for 300 soon. That's just my opinion.
I think if he doesn't before then, looking at week 17.
We saw against Tennessee. I really think I'm going to go to that game, by the way.
Tennessee is horrible. And if you want to see how bad they are, just watch them lose to Davis Mills this weekend.
They're bad. They're a really bad football team. They don't have a lot of. I don't know what their future is. I don't know. Anyway, all right. We will see you on Thursday when we do the pick'em.
Before I go to answer.
Hold on.
Well, Wilson Alexander reporting that in his press conference, Frank Wilson said, "quote both of those guys will play in this game. Both the quarterbacks will play."
Okay, so maybe it'll be what we're talking about. That's actually surprising. I thought he was going to go with Van Buren, and I didn't say that.
I really didn't think he would go Van Buren.
Okay, so what I think will probably happen is Nuss will start, and he'll have if the Tigers are doing well, it'll be mostly Nuss, and you'll see maybe 2 series from Van Buren. Yeah. But if LSU stinks, then he'll do what he did last week and replace Nuss, and you won't see him again.
I'll tell you if nothing else. Once they get into the red area, then you should get Van Buren involved because their red zone offense has been atrocious this year.
Yeah. Just a heads up to the commenters that are still here. I am going to get back to the comments before we go off. I'll spend the last 3 to 4 minutes of the show showing comments. But as we do each Monday and usually Wednesday, but it'll be Monday and Thursday this week, we go over the primetime game and tell you whether we have any best bets for the evening. We have been really, really, really good on Thursdays, and we've been just plain good on Mondays. And frankly, we've been pretty good everywhere. We are well over 500 as a team against the spread, not just picking game against the spread. We are well over 500. And if you're following our picks, you are making money. Tonight, the Philadelphia Eagles are traveling to play the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. I think it's supposed to be super cold. I don't think there's any precip, but I think it's going to be super cold. And the Packers are coming off of a loss to the Carolina Panthers. They are pretty ticked off. Do you have any best bets for tonight's game?
Everything in me tells me to take the Eagles plus 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see Green Bay losing back-to-back home games in November.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
I'm going to say this. I do not have a best bet from tonight's game. And then I told Zach last night, I probably will play it. I'm going to miss the first half because I've got out. I'm actually have a freelance assignment tonight, so I'm going to miss part of the game probably. So I may or may not bet it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you, and the reason why that's scary, I don't usually bet like that. I don't bet on a team because of what they did the last week. And I never want to say, well, they can't play like that again, because we all know that they can play like that again.
Yep,
maybe Green Bay just isn't as good as we thought they were. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I would probably lean to the under and lean towards Green Bay, but I don't. So neither one of us really have an official pick.
Yeah,
I hate to do that to you, but
45.5
sometimes we just don't have a pick. And I don't think either one of us have a pick for this game. Again, I lean under and I lean Green Bay, but that doesn't mean that I'm running to the window to bet it either.
I won't leave viewers without a little sprinkle. Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown is one of the safest bets you can play.
Oh my God, I hope he scores twice because I have Josh Jacobs and Devontae Smith, and I need 2 combined touchdowns to beat my son, who will just he hasn't said anything because he knows, but I'll never hear the end of it if he beats me tonight. And so I need 2 touchdowns combined from Jacobs and Devontae Smith. That's what I need. We'll see. Or if they combine for 1 touchdown and a combined 200 yards, I would probably win.
I mean, no one cares about my fantasy team, but no. I would like Devontae Smith to do nothing because I'm playing against him. So.
I gotcha. All right, so you'd rather I win with Josh Jacobs.
All Josh Jacobs, yeah.
All right.
Let's get him.
See you Thursday.
Sounds good.
All right. Back to the Saints real quick before we go off the air here this morning and now this afternoon. I thank y'all for joining us again. Yeah, we're having fun on our own. I mean, I'm telling you, after this weekend, and I know I said this before, but I'm so fired up about this. Putting together a short that I just kind of did on a whim when I got home, an instant reaction. I said, let's see what it does. I was at UBN's house, got home. So let's do an instant reaction short. As of this morning, this was at 8 a.m. this morning, so it could be more than that now because it's still growing. 35,000 views combined on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And so keep watching our shorts, keep helping us out. Look, if you watch us, if you subscribe to our YouTube page, it helps us out. It helps the numbers. Anything that can help numbers as I go to potential sponsors now, it's going to help. I'm going to show them, look, this is what we've done since we went on our own, because this is the week that it's only been a week and a half. But look, to prove to people that we are going to make it on our own, because we are going to work on that. All right. Some final comments here before we go off the air. Lance didn't like it. He gets mad every time I bring up the DC word. Derek Carr. They don't like when I say that. Lance says Rat's jump from last year to this year is real. What if he continues to grow and Shough ends up crapping? The tape is out. Lance, my point is, again, I'm not trying to get on the Rat. He's not going to continue to grow. He played, what? How many games did he start this year? The Saints played 10 games. He started 8 of them. He didn't get any better. He got better from last year to this year, but he didn't get, and I mean not even a little bit, in my opinion. He didn't get any better from week 1 through week 8. Not a little bit. He was the same quarterback in week 1 that he was in week 8. Okay? So that's the problem that I had. You continued to see numbers, and someone pointed out here earlier, and I don't remember who it was, but, yards per attempt. Rattler was somewhere in the neighborhood of 5.5. Shough yesterday was over 10. It's a big difference. Shough's vision down the field is definitely been, again, one game. I'm not saying that Shough's the future, but I'm saying I know that Rattler isn't. I think it's possible, and I'll keep that on the screen. It's possible that, Shough could be a backup, that Rattler could be a backup, but we don't know. We got to see the rest of the year and see what is going to happen with Shough playing 7 more games. Randall says we need to show some love to Cam Jordan. He's balling out this year. Hey, man, he's playing okay. But again, there's Cam Jordan, perfect example. Cam Jordan, I don't know, man. Cam Jordan, you got to think he's going, right? After this year. This has got to be his retirement year, right? Earl says that the cold weather won't bother the Eagles. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to bother them. I don't think the Eagles that good. Who that daddy? Ice Bowl number 2 is taking the Packers in this one. Just looked it up. It's going to be about 30 degrees at game time and fairly windy, so wind chills in the 20s. For Green Bay, that's not that big of a deal, I guess. Earl said he's not touching it. UBN says his prediction for Monday is that A.J. Brown will complain after the game. That is probably true. Chad, you wouldn't even talk about this, but Devin Neal looked good as a running back. Catching passes out of the backfield. Absolutely. He did. 100%. And who that daddy says he agrees with me on the rat. I don't want to poo-poo on the dude because I love his attitude. I really do. And if these are the two guys going forward that you're going to roll with, number 1 and number 2, whatever it is, then so be it. Maybe Gabe's right. Maybe they won't draft the quarterback. Maybe they don't need to. I don't think they're going to draft the quarterback regardless, whether they should or shouldn't. So let me make that clear. I mean, if I'm in the offseason here saying I think they should draft the quarterback, that doesn't mean they're going to, because I don't think they will. We'll see. Never really even talked about Tulane. I apologize. The Tulane Green Wave, there are 16.5-point favorites as to go along with what Gabe was talking about. They should be pretty decent favorites the rest of the way. So they have a good chance to make the American Conference Championship game if they go there and win that. 12% chance to make the playoff. Can't say it's 0.0, but I don't understand this Wave team at all. I said this to my friends the other day. And again, I meant to talk more about Tulane, but I just didn't get to it. And how do you beat Memphis on the road and look so crappy the 6 weeks in a row before that? I don't get it. Not at all. And they almost blew the game. They had the whole, you want to talk about scratch and claw, hold on for dear life. They had a big lead, and Memphis came roaring back, and they were able to hold them off. But if the Green Wave wins out, who knows? I guess we'll figure it out, right? I don't know. We'll talk more about them on Thursday as well, I promise. But as for going forward, Bill says Shough is the franchise. You can't say that after 10 quarters. You just can't. Well, you can say whatever you want. But I don't think that we can realistically say that or believe that we have a franchise quarterback that's seen him for 10 quarters. It's my opinion. All right. I ask you to subscribe and a like. If you have not gone to our YouTube page, that's why I ask you to go. I mean, I'm very thankful no matter where you're watching. If you're watching on X or Facebook, great. But please go find us on YouTube and subscribe if you can. If you have time, I would appreciate it. You can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. You can email me at jim@jimderry.com if you want to get in touch with me. That is going to do it for us on this Mano E Monday. You can join us usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Again, our next live show this week is Thursday. So no Wednesday, no Friday, just Thursday. We'll combine the two shows. We'll do them here Thursday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. And also, you can find us wherever you get your podcast, including Apple, Spotify, many more. You can also find you can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. Find our page, subscribe, like. Are you you got your winter gear together? Is it too cold? I know it's too cold for UBN. Earl, thanks for joining us, man. Rocky, you as well. Chad Gage, always. And to all our Dat family, you can become a part of the Dat family. We hope you do. We will see you on Thursday. Until then, take it easy, my friends.